Hello, my name's Alex Gwynn. I'm a graphic designer and paper engineer with over a decade of experience designing paper toys and paper craft. Recently, I designed these Lethal Company paper toys. They're a simple one-page toy made of 2 pieces. Although the designs seem incredibly simple on the surface, the legs are more complicated than at first they might seem. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can build these paper crafts and explain some of the paper engineering hidden beneath the surface. And so there's an employee character and a jester, which is a kind of monster. It's like a music box that winds itself up and then it attacks people. This toy is not intended for children necessarily. I'm sure some kids will make it, but it was definitely designed with an adult in mind who's using a craft knife. If you are a younger builder, you can always ask an adult for help and supervision. This uses foldovers for the arms and the legs. I do try and avoid foldovers where I can because I think having a 3D structure is better. But there are ways to mitigate the downfalls of a 2D structure. Because the temptation is, with something as simple as this, to just make it, literally a cube with 2 pieces sticking out that make legs. But if I can, I try and add something that's at least, interesting to build, that it doesn't just feel monotonous. You can see that these fold lines on either side of the jester are offset ever so slightly, only by a few millimeters, to this fold line in the middle. It's taken the thickness of the page into account, that when these 2 pieces come together, one fits underneath the other more cleanly. These feet foldovers extend past the top of the leg slightly, because if it just finished there, there'd naturally be a weaker point, move back and forth a bit, and over time it would bend. By having them extend up over the edge slightly, it removes that weak point. So the legs fold inwards, and then the sides of the box come down and glue to the back, locking them inside of the box. And then it hides this little gap here that the legs create. You'll notice these 2 faces don't meet up perfectly. That's because I gave them a little bit of wiggle room in case someone pushed them too far, because otherwise then I'd have to worry about the pieces overlapping. It's like even if someone does a bad job cutting it, and even if someone pushes too hard as they're gluing them together, the texture should still line up. The legs have been locked from moving this direction. They can't go any further, but they can still move inwards, which isn't what we want because that's not going to be very stable. That's when tab 5 folds down in between the legs and glues in place, and now they can't move inwards or outwards. They're completely locked in the one position we want. So interestingly, the legs aren't necessarily glued in place. They're technically just loose in there, but the way the structure is built locks it in from moving without having to be physically glued in. And there we go, that's the jester. It's a really simple outcome, but a deceptively complicated set of folds going on inside. Now let's put together the employee before I call it a day. Tab 7 and 8, line up and push down. To be honest, I should probably have made tab 8, tab 7, and tab 7, tab 8. That's an easy change to make. I will swap those tabs around. Okay, and then similar to how the feet are angled on the jester, the same happens with the employee build. So instead of just being legs that come off the body, it's a separate build that folds around and then glues in place so the feet are at an angle, like so. And with that, the models are done. Here is the employee. You can see underneath that the feet are pointed and they come to a point rather than being parallel to the body, which gives us more rigidity. You wouldn't think such a small difference would change all that much, but it really does. I think the jester is a far more interesting build than the employee just because of how these legs get stuck in. Oh, what just happened? Oh, I ran out of battery. What terrible timing. So those are my Lethal Company paper crafts. I hope you found this video interesting, and I hope that it gave you a greater understanding of how you could make your paper crafts more stable. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe and leave a comment telling me which Lethal Company monster you'd like me to design next. Lethal Company, more like Smeeful Smumpany. Lethal Company, more like Gleeful Glumpany. Lethal Company, more like Bleeble Blumblany. Lethal Company, more like Feeble Thumpany.